Hi there. Take two. I have to do this over again because the first time I did it, I had the focus set wrong on the camera and it looked awful. It's the pitfalls of shooting this by myself with a new camera. And I'm pretty good at using the camera, but you know, the few little things I might get wrong. But this is the new camera, so I thought I'd show it off. And I'm doing this at 24 frames per second, so it gives you that film look. Doesn't it look like film to you? No, not really. I've had a couple cameras that can shoot 24 frames per second, but I don't use that format because a lot of the stuff I do ends up on broadcast or might end up on broadcast, and they don't use 24 frames per second in broadcast, and I don't want to have to mess with learning how to change the frame rate right now. I probably should learn how to do that for future reference if someone wants that film look, but for now, excuse me, had a dry throat there. I don't need to use this, by the way, because if you're shooting with like a digital SLR camera, which a lot of people do, and you have a separate audio recorder for higher quality audio, then they use these so that you can synchronize the sound. But I don't have to do this, but I have one anyway, which is kind of fun to have. I don't need to do that with this camera because it records the audio straight to the same file as the video, and it stays in sync, and there's no problem there. This is the camera I've been dreaming of for quite a while. In fact, well, several years ago I saw a camera similar to this that I wanted. Just it wasn't the right time for it, you know, financially and for many other reasons. And eventually they came up with a better camera. Before I could get the one I was dreaming of, they developed a better one, a newer one, and then I waited a while, and now I've got it, and that's the one there. I really like this one. It can shoot at 24 frames per second for this film look, or 30 frames per second, or 60 fields per second. It can actually shoot 60 frames per second at the 720 resolution high definition for, you know, whatever reason. Some stations use that format, so I don't know. There's like 26 different distinct formats of video that this can do for the North American broadcast system, and another 26 that it can do for the European broadcast standard, all in one camera. 52 video formats, but I think I'll stick with like maybe 2 of them. It has built-in slow motion capabilities, so I can shoot things at 60 frames per second with the intent of showing them at 30 or 24 frames per second. You get that smooth slow motion, not some effect I did in the computer later, but it actually has, you know, deliberate separate frames for all that. And built-in time lapse and lots of fun things that I'd like to show you in due time. I don't have a lot of footage kind of standing by on this camera right now, because most of the stuff I've shot, I've only had it, you know, a couple weeks, but most of the stuff I've shot with it so far has been, you know, these things that I'm shooting for a TV show that's starting soon. So technically I don't control the copyright on that material that I shot, so maybe I shouldn't throw that in right here right now, but we'll do some fun stuff soon. I don't want to sound too snobby about it. I'm working on a new show, and it's called The Younger You with Troy Thompson. Troy is originally from Australia, and when he was there, it was one of the things that he kind of pursued, educating people about ways to look and feel younger, whether that had to do with you know, a makeover, hairstyle, or clothing makeover, or just nutrition and exercise, dental work, cosmetic surgeries, that sort of thing. And so this show does concentrate on all of those things. And so that means at the beginning, a lot of the stuff I was shooting was cosmetic surgery procedures. some, quite invasive, if you will. And, I hesitate to even describe them to you because people get kind of queasy about it. But nevertheless, I thought I might have gotten queasy about it, but I surprised myself. You see, I remember like about 20 years ago, there was a channel on TV called The Learning Channel, which no longer exists. Oh, there's something called TLC on TV, but it's not the Learning Channel anymore. It's reality show nonsense. It's a lot of people swearing at each other and bleeping each other and stuff like that, and just it's a freak show. They used to have the Circus Sideshow, the Freak Show, and now it's TLC. But it used to be the Learning Channel, and it had educational and science type stuff on it. There was a program, a regular program every week. It was called The Operation, and every week it was some different surgical procedure that was featured. And when I first saw that this was on the schedule, The Operation, I thought, well, this will be interesting. It's science, it's medicine, and I'm a smart guy, and I can get into this. And the trouble was, as soon as they start making an incision, I didn't want, something about watching that on TV did not agree with me, and I had to stop. Another part of that is a lot of times they use this iodine solution that kind of disinfects the skin, but it also makes it this kind of unnatural yellow skin color, and then they cut it, and then the skin kind of wrinkles a little bit strangely because it doesn't have the proper tension on it, and that's when I said, nah, I can't handle this. It's a good thing I was never a doctor or never pursued that. So then they said, well, they wanted to hire me to do this show, and I'm like, great, I'd love to do that work. I could use some work right now, and so, but then they said, well, it's going to be this plastic surgery, and I thought, well, I think I can handle it. And I surprised myself at how well I do handle it. Something about actually being there instead of watching it on TV maybe makes that easier to watch, or just the fact that it's so fascinating. It really is absolutely fascinating. And some of these things that might have made me queasy 20 years ago, I'm totally okay with it, which is, I don't know, it's kind of strange. The only thing that's probably the most unpleasant thing about it, they use a cauterizing tool. And it's like one of those old soldering irons, not the soldering gun with the trigger on it, but it looks kind of like a soldering iron, if you ever worked with electronics, and that cauterizes, and so it burns, and so if they're under the skin, whatever, and there's some sort of blood vessel that's bleeding, and they can just cauterize that real quick and keep going, and it's the smell of burning flesh, which is similar to maybe the smell of burning hair, which most of us have maybe smelled burning hair in a hair dryer or something, and it's just unpleasant. But even that I can handle it okay. Another guy that comes to these things with me, he sometimes the cauterizing thing comes out and he has to leave the room because it's just, or they do this trick if you're wearing like a surgical mask, because you're in the operating room. They got like some Vicks Vapor Rub, just that minty stuff. You rub that under your nose, put your mask on, and then you just smell that. But anyway, it's fun. We had to do a lot of these surgical procedures, cosmetic surgery stuff at the beginning, so we would have plenty of time for people to fully recover from that. No more swelling and redness, and the stitches are gone, and everything looks the way it should in the end. So we wanted to give plenty of time for that healing before we do the episode, broadcast the episode with, that stuff. So that was heavily there at the beginning. Now we're moving on to more some things like the nutrition and exercise stuff and the makeovers and dental stuff, and that's all coming. And we're doing stuff in the studio as well that all ties it together, and it's coming together. The show starts in about a week. And so we'll be ready by then, right? Yeah. So I'm involved in mainly the shooting video, and also my business partner Clinton is doing the editing, and so then we work in the studio and we do the studio stuff, and it's all on us for the next few days to get something in the can and fully edited that they'll say, this is great, and then another one the next week, and another one the next week, and just that scramble of getting that first one done, is always kind of a challenge. And then we'll finally get into a rhythm, and it'll be fine. Anyway, I'm shooting it at 30 frames per second. That's what I'm doing. This 24 frames nonsense, I don't know. It's the film. Which reminds me of The Hobbit. I went to see The Hobbit just over a year ago, way back in 2012, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, the first part of a trilogy. And I saw it in the theater, and I saw it at the high frame rate, 48 frames per second in 3D. Now at the time, your only choice was, you had three choices. You could watch it at 24 frames per second, 2D, just like a regular old movie, or 24 frames per second 3D, or this high frame rate 48 frames per second 3D. I think I would have preferred 48 frames per second 2D, but that was not an option available to at the theaters for the viewers, so I couldn't do that. But I did go see it in the high frame rate 3D, and I liked the way it looked. Some people thought it looked like a soap opera because it looks more like a live picture, because you don't have this flicker that you're seeing right now. Yeah, so some people didn't like the high frame rate. I liked it okay. Would have preferred not 3D. And then this time around, when the second Hobbit movie came out, I was just too busy, out of my mind, worried about, the holidays and finances and new camera and all this stuff kind of converging all at once. And so the last priority out of all the things I was concerned with was going out to see a 3-hour movie at a theater there's one theater that's about a 25-minute drive, a slightly better theater that's about a 40-minute drive each way. That's where I would have gone. And then, so all that travel time plus a 3-hour movie, it didn't happen. I guess it could still happen because the movie's still in theaters, but I'm this close to just, from now on, it's just Netflix. I have a Blu-ray player, and I have a high definition monitor now. It's off camera, so that the IRS doesn't spy on me and decide to make an issue out of that. But I don't have a new TV. That's nonsense. And this camera is old, and no, it's no indication of my income. So yeah, I haven't seen a movie since the summer. I saw 4 movies this summer: Star Trek and Iron Man and Superman, Man of Steel, and Pacific Rim, and then I quit. I'm not going to watch movies anymore after that nonsense. No, I just haven't had time. Just like I said, the good theater I want to go to, 40 minutes each way, and what are some great movies that have come out lately? I don't know. I guess I didn't bother with Gravity or The Hunger Games or The Hobbit or Frozen or these lesser movies that have been out too. If it looks like I've got blisters on my face, it's because I have blisters on my face. Sorry. Here I am with this new, super detailed, nice looking camera, so you can see all this awful stuff on my face. What happens is I have actinic keratosis, which is a precancerous skin little things around, and they kind of appear, and then I go down and see a dermatologist every 6 months, and she sees what's there, and she zaps it with she freezes it, burn freezes with this I guess liquid nitrogen or something that just, so she gives me these little bursts of freeze that kind of hurt, and it's kind of painful there at the moment, and then for the rest of the day it feels more like a sunburn, and then after that it's all right, but then it blisters, and I probably look atrocious. I'm sorry. But yeah, so that keeps it under control. I haven't had anything turn into actual skin cancer, but every 6 months go in, get the freezes done, and we'll be good to go without having dangerous stuff happen to my skin. Every now and then there'll be something that is not the actinic keratosis. So I'll notice something, I've got a spot here that looks like it's getting darker, or I'll notice something, and I'll ask her about it when I go in every 6 months, and she'll usually say what it is, some Latin term. It sounds like a spell from a Harry Potter movie. Well, you have scroliumptimus, or whatever it is, and that's harmless, and don't worry about it. Or let me just shave off a sample, and we'll send this little piece of skin to the lab for get it checked out, or whatever it is. And so far so good. I'm sorry I look like such a wreck tonight, but anyway, we will keep having fun with some videos here, and stay in touch. And I'm spoken too long already, so thanks.